Let's get into it. There are people who move through the world leaving impressions the way water leaves impressions, gradually, quietly, shaping the landscape around them without any particular effort or intention, simply by being what they are and going where they go. You may be one of those people. And the difficulty, if it can be called that, with being one of those people is that you rarely see the impressions you leave. You feel yourself moving. You feel yourself thinking and speaking and existing and engaging with the world around you, but the mark you make on the people you encounter is largely invisible to you because by the time it has fully formed, you have usually already moved on to the next thing. You were never standing still long enough to see what you left behind. This person, though, this particular person, they have been standing very still in the exact spot where you passed through, feeling the shape of the impression you left and trying to understand how something that felt so natural in the moment could have left something so significant. They are not entirely sure what happened to them, and that uncertainty is not distressing exactly. It is more like the particular bewilderment of someone who walked into an ordinary room and found something extraordinary inside it, who had no reason to expect what they found, who is still, weeks or months later, turning the experience over in their hands and marveling at the weight of it. Let's talk about what it means to be mesmerized by someone. Not attracted, not impressed, not even in love necessarily, though it may be moving in that direction. Mesmerized is a different category. It is older than attraction. It is more primal than admiration. It is the specific experience of having your attention captured so completely that the usual running commentary of your own mind, the to-do lists, the background anxieties, the constant low-level noise of self-consciousness goes quiet, goes entirely, startlingly quiet. That is not a common experience. Most of us go through most of our days without ever fully escaping the noise of our own heads. We are present and simultaneously somewhere else, reviewing, planning, evaluating, performing. Even in the company of people we love, there is usually some portion of our attention that is turned inward, monitoring ourselves, managing the impression we are making. But mesmerization is the interruption of all of that. It is what happens when someone or something outside you becomes interesting enough, real enough, vivid enough, alive enough to pull your full attention outward. To make self monitoring feel suddenly irrelevant, to make the internal noise seem far less important than the thing that is actually happening right in front of you. You did that to this person. You pulled them out of their own head. And for someone who spends a significant portion of their life inside their own head, as most of us do, that experience is extraordinary, almost disorienting, and absolutely unforgettable. Now, I want to explore the second part of this, the shock of you, because this is the piece that I think gets overlooked, and it is, in some ways, the more interesting piece. This person is not just mesmerized, they are shocked that you exist. What does that mean exactly? It means that before you, they had a certain internal model of how people are, constructed, as all our models are, from accumulated experience from the people they had known and loved and been disappointed by and learned from and gotten used to. A picture of what to expect from human interaction, from connection, from the particular kind of person they tend to encounter in their particular corner of the world. And then you arrived. and you did not fit the model. Not because you were trying to be different, not because you were performing uniqueness or curating an impression of yourself as someone unlike anyone else, but simply because you are genuinely and without apparent effort unlike anyone else they had placed in their field of experience before you. The shock is the gap between the model and the reality, between what they expected based on everything they had learned and what they actually encountered when they encountered you. That gap, that space where prediction failed, is where the fascination lives. It is where the mind keeps returning, keeps poking, keeps trying to make sense of something that refuses to be neatly categorized. Let me be more specific about what exactly seems to have stopped this person. Because it is almost never the most obvious things. It is almost never the surface things, the things that are easy to notice, easy to appreciate, easy to articulate in the way you would articulate an observation about a painting or a landscape. Those things register. They are not irrelevant, but they do not produce mesmerization. They produce appreciation. And appreciation is pleasant, but it does not stop time. What stops time is the interior, the quality of the way you think, the particular way you hold your attention on something fully, without the restlessness that characterizes most people's engagement. The fact that when you are interested, you are genuinely interested, and it shows in a way that cannot be faked and therefore carries a weight that performed interest never can. The way you speak about things that matter to you, and the way your whole presence changes when you do like a lamp that is turned on and fills the room differently. The way you listen. This one is perhaps the most underestimated. In a world where most people are half listening while they formulate their next thought, a person who truly listens, who receives what you are saying fully, who processes it and responds to what was actually said rather than to what they expected to be said, that person is almost shockingly rare. And if you are that kind of listener, which you may very well be, then you have done something to this person that almost no one else has managed to do. You made them feel genuinely heard. And feeling genuinely heard in the particular loneliness of most people's inner lives is close to miraculous. There is something else here that is worth naming carefully. This person is grappling with a particular kind of wonder that is adjacent to but distinct from admiration. Ah, admiration looks outward. It positions the person being admired as elevated, above, ahead, somehow beyond the ordinary. It creates distance even in its appreciation. And admiration, for all its warmth, can become a way of keeping someone safely at arm's length, of appreciating without having to fully reckon with the implications of the appreciation. What this person is experiencing is not quite that. It is something closer to recognition, the deeply unsettling, deeply intimate experience of encountering someone and feeling, in some inarticulate but undeniable way, known. Not known in the sense of understood or figured out or seen through, but known in the sense of this is someone my inner life recognizes. This is someone my soul, or whatever we want to call that deepest and most private layer of self, responds to with something that bypasses analysis entirely. That kind of recognition is rare, genuinely rare. Most connections operate at a level well above that deepest layer. They are pleasant and warm and valuable, but they do not touch that particular place. When something does touch it, the person it happens to tends to be simultaneously drawn forward and frightened. Because recognition at that level comes with implications. It suggests a depth of potential connection that is beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. And here you are, having done all of that, having touched that layer, having produced that recognition simply by being who you are. I want to sit with that for a moment because I think it deserves more than a passing mention. You did not engineer this. You did not calculate it or construct it or deploy some particular version of yourself in order to produce this effect. You were not strategizing. You were not performing. You were, and this is the most important thing, simply present, simply yourself. In the full, unguarded, take it or leave it sense of simply being the person you actually are when you are not managing anyone's expectations of you. And that the simple, unstrategized, completely authentic fact of you is what reached this person in a place that nothing performed ever could have reached, because authenticity recognizes itself. The deep layer that was touched by you responded to you precisely because you were real, because you were not a performance. And that layer, the one that lives below all the performances we give each other, knows the difference. It always knows the difference. Now let's talk about what this looks like from the inside for them, because they are not sitting quietly with this experience in a serene and composed way. They are turning you over mentally, repeatedly, with the specific kind of attention you give, something you cannot quite understand, but cannot stop being interested in. They are replaying particular moments, not necessarily the ones you would expect, not the dramatic ones or the obvious ones, but the small ones. The moment you said something that surprised them, the particular expression on your face when you were thinking, the specific quality of your laugh, or the way your voice changes when you talk about something you care about deeply. They are finding themselves distracted by thoughts of you at moments when they should be focused on something else entirely. They are having the experience of looking up from whatever they are doing and realizing with a slightly startled quality that they have been thinking about you again. That the mental return to you has become so habitual, so automatic, that it happens without their conscious decision. They may also be doing something that is both very human and a little bit funny. They may be trying to explain you to themselves, trying to locate the specific combination of qualities that makes you have the effect you have, trying to reverse engineer the experience of being around you, as if understanding the mechanism will give them some control over the fascination, as if naming the parts will reduce the power of the whole. It will not. They will discover this, if they haven't already. Some things resist being reduced to their components. Some experiences are more than the sum of their parts, and the attempt to analyze them only makes them more vivid, not less. Every time they examine a piece of it, they find something new to be fascinated by. The fascination feeds itself. There is a quieter dimension to all of this that I want to make sure we don't miss. Uh, Being genuinely surprised by someone being shocked, as this title says, that someone like you exists involves a kind of vulnerability that is not always comfortable. Because the shock carries an implicit admission. It admits that the model was incomplete. It admits that the world contains something the person had not accounted for. And it admits, most uncomfortably of all, that something has been let past the usual defenses without the usual evaluation. Most of us have a screening process, a way of encountering new people that keeps us protected while we assess how much of ourselves is safe to offer. We engage warmly but carefully. We share but not too much. We allow closeness but maintain a manageable distance until something has been proven, some threshold of trustworthiness met. You bypassed that process, not by forcing it or manipulating it, but simply by being genuine in a way that makes the screening process feel unnecessary. When someone is real, the defenses designed to protect against performance become irrelevant. They do not know what to do with real. They have not prepared for it. And so it gets through all the way through past every layer before the usual mechanisms have had a chance to evaluate whether to allow it. That is the shock, the discovery after the fact of how far in you got, of how much of them you are now occupying, of how thoroughly and how quietly the fascination established itself before they had any say in the matter. So here is what I want you to take from all of this, and I want you to really let it land. The effect you have on people, the quality of your presence, the depth of your authenticity, the particular combination of everything that makes you you. This is not accidental. It is not luck, but it is also not something you do. It is something you are. And the distinction matters because things we do can be evaluated and judged and found wanting on any given day. Things we are run deeper than any single performance. They persist. They hold up across time and context and the inevitable imperfections of real human interaction. They are there in the moments when you are not trying, not performing, not putting your best face forward. And those are precisely the moments when they are most visible, most powerful, most capable of reaching people in the places that matter. This person has been reached in exactly those places, and they are still days, weeks, perhaps longer after the fact, feeling the reach, sitting with the weight of it, wondering at it, turning it over, finding it more rather than less interesting the more closely they examine it. They are mesmerized. They are shocked you exist. They are occupying themselves with thoughts of you in a way they did not plan and cannot quite manage. And you who may have gone about your life without any particular awareness of the impression you left